Lamentations, first chapter. I will get started in just a second. We're live on YouTube as well. You seen it? See if we're live on there now. Let me see. Check it out. Okay, yeah, no, we are. All right. Yeah, we good. All right, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatham. Yahweh Shem Alakam Bashem Yahushai to the brothers and the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Parag holding it down with Priest Officer Amatazar for the ISUPK weekly Sabbath service. All right. Once again, I always like to mention Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. This is the first high holy day mentioned in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and this is the only high holy day that you keep more than once a year. You keep this high holy day, this high holy day 52 weeks out of the year, right? Or 52 times out of the year. Every Saturday, right? From Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, we observe this Sabbath, right? And the scriptures say that you are to come into a holy convocation, right? Gather with your brothers and your sisters, right? And that's, of course, what we do here in ISUPK, because everything that we do is, of course, according to scripture. Nothing more, nothing less, all right? Today, what we're going to be going over, we'll be in Lamentations, the first chapter, right? Lamentations is an interesting book, right? Lamentations is a book of lamentations, right? It's a book of mourning. To lament something, it means to mourn something. And what this brother did is he wrote this book in mourning for his people, right? He saw what was going on around him, and he was troubled by it. You get what I'm saying? This brother had what a lot of people don't have. He had compassion, right? And so because that's the case, we're going to go into the book of Lamentations. We're just going to read the first chapter, right? And we're going to go over a few things, right? One main thing that I want to focus on today is how consistently this brother consistently talks about the sin of Israel, right? And how Judah and Jerusalem, right, talking about the children of Israel, have grievously sinned, meaning they've sinned to their own demise and sinned extremely terribly, right? Give me 1 second. All right, so what we'll do is, we got a slightly late start. We'll go ahead and get started, all right? So just men up here, Imagine, need to stand. I'm going to start the Sabbath service. We're going to call the first brother, Resign, you step up. You can step to registry.
Razan, Ban Yahada, Ban Yasharala.
Razan, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yasharala.
John, Salam Yahba Shem Shabrakata.
Yahba Shem Shabrakata.
Step on up. Just get sharing a bit. All right. All right, start towards me. Start.
La Yasharala.
Which means to Israel. Sorry. All right, we're gonna get into these prayers. So everybody else, Imagine, which means to stand. Wapan Yahagwadam, which means to face the east, which is that way. I'm gonna get into these prayers.
All right. We're gonna start with the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakinaw, Kawawathinaw, Kasalakinaw, Kawawathinaw, Wala'ah, Tabayanaw, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayanaw, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wa'atha Parat, the I will Aman.
All right. Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it.
You get Haka, which means the power. Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Babakashah, Nathanaw, Haka, Larapa'ah, Kalma'Allah, it's like Wakal, Madawah, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazarium, Hakak, Lakwayam, Mathyam, Hakak, Al, Rakawat, Hatama'Allah, Lagarshan, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, the Wadaman.
All right. In the English, the power. Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it.
We'll get Psalms 121. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al, Haharyo, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Azariah, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'aratza, Ayatan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al, Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yashra'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyaka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'ah, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Makal Rai, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'athka, Waba'aka, Ma'aitha, Wa'ai, I will.
Psalms the 121st chapter in the English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasher Allah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in,
from this time forth
from this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
We're going to read Psalms 83rd chapter. Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Al, Damaya,
Damaya,
Laka,
Laka,
Al,
Al,
Takarash,
Takarash,
Wa'al, Dashakwat,
Tashakwat,
Al, Kaya,
Kaya,
Hana,
Adna,
Awa,
Awa,
Yabyaka,
Yabika,
Yahama,
Yahama,
Yawan,
Yawan,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Al,
Al,
Amaka,
Amaka,
Ya'ira,
Ya'ira,
Yamawa,
Yamawa,
Sawada,
Sawada,
Wayatha,
Wayatha,
Ya'aitazawa,
Ya'aitazawa,
Al,
Al,
Tazapa,
Tazapa,
Wanyaka,
Wanyaka,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Lakawa,
Lakawa,
Wanakakidam,
Wanyakakidam,
Magalia,
Magalia,
Wala'ah,
Wala'ah,
Yazakar,
Yazakar,
Sham Yashra'ala,
Sham Yashra'ala,
Awada,
Awada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Nawa'aitazawa,
Naya'aitazawa,
Laba,
Labat,
Yakadwa,
Yakadwa,
Al-Yakab,
Al-Yakab,
Baryat,
Baryat,
Yakarathwa,
Yakarathwa,
Ahalia,
Ahalia,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Wa,
Yashamai,
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 Alayam,
Alayam,
Mawa'aba,
Mawa'aba,
Wa'agariam,
Wa'agariam,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimalak,
Wa'aimalak,
Palashat,
Palashat,
Yashibya,
Yashibya,
Tazawar,
Tazawar,
Gam Ashawar,
Gam Nashawar,
Nalawa,
Nalawa,
Imam,
Imam,
Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Zarawad,
Zarawad,
Labanya,
Labanya,
Lawat,
Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Asha,
Asha,
Laham,
Laham,
Kamadyan,
Kamadyan,
Kasaya,
Kasaya,
Sara'ah,
Sara'ah,
Kayabyan,
Kayabyan,
Banakal,
Banakal,
Kayat, Kwayashwan,
Kwayashwan,
Nashamadwa,
Yashamadwa,
Ba'ayan,
Bayan,
the Ara,
Dara,
Hayawa,
Hayawan,
Daman,
Daman,
La'adama,
La'adaman,
Shayatamwa,
Sayatamwa,
Nada,
Nada,
Yab,
Yab,
Mawa,
Mawa,
Ka'ira,
Ka'ira,
Wakaza
Wakaza Abba,
Wakazabak,
Wakazabak,
Wakatazal,
Wakatazal,
Mana'ai,
Mana'ai,
Call, Nasa,
Nisa,
Yakamwa,
Yakamwa,
Ashar,
Ashar,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Nayarasha,
Nayrashah,
Lanawa,
Lanawan,
Ath, Nawa'ath,
Nawa'ath,
Alahayam,
Alahayam,
Alahaya,
Alahaya,
Shayathamwa,
Shayatamwa,
Kagagala,
Kagagala,
Kakwash,
Kakwash,
Lapanya,
Yapanya,
Raka,
Raka,
Ka'ash,
Ka'ash,
Taba'ira,
Taba'ira,
Ya'ira,
Ya'ira,
Wakala Habab,
Wakala Abba,
Talahat,
Talahat,
Harayam,
Harayam,
Khan,
Khan,
Taradatma,
Thoradakma,
Basa'iraka,
Basa'iraka,
Wabasa,
Wabasa,
Wapathka,
Wapathka,
Tabahalam,
Tabahalam,
Mala'a,
Mala'a,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Kwalawan,
Kwalawan,
Waya,
Waya,
Bakashwa,
Bakashwa,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Yabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Waya,
Bahalwa,
Bahalwa,
Baharwa,
Idya,
Idea,
I, Waya,
Waya,
Kaparwa,
Kaparwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Abadwa,
Abadwa,
Waya,
Waya,
the Iowa,
Iowa,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Atha,
Atha,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Labadka,
Labaka,
Aliwan,
Aliwan,
Al,
Al,
Kal,
Kal,
Ha'aratza.
Ha'aratza.
All right, that was Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Now we're going to read it in the English. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
Come,
and let us cut them off from being a nation.
let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Yasher Allah
That the name of Yahshua
may be no more in remembrance.
may be no more remembrance.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
But they have consulted together with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom,
The tabernacles of Edom,
and the Ishmaelites,
and the Ishmaelites,
of Moab, and the
and the
Hagarenes,
Hagarenes,
Gabal,
Gabal,
and Ammon,
and Ammon,
and Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
Philistines,
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Assur also is joined with them.
Assur also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They are hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kasan.
At the brook of Kasan.
Which perished that endured.
Which perished and endured.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a reb.
Make their nobles like a ram.
And like Ze'er.
And like Zahab.
Yea. All their princes as Zabah.
All their princes as Sabbath.
And as Amunah.
And as Amunah.
Who said,
Let
let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession.
us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burneth the wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
And as the flames set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded and troubled forever.
Let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Yea.
Let
them be put to shame and perish.
them be put to shame and perish.
That men may know that thou,
That men may know that thou,
whose name alone is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
are the most high over all the earth.
are the most high over all the earth.
We're going to read the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Ma'ika Allah.
Wa Ma'ika Allah.
Wa Alahayim.
Wa Alahayim.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Masab Ya'ah.
Alawap Yahana.
Alawap Yahana.
Ha Alawap Yah.
Ha Alawap
Ha Saranyam.
Asaranyam.
Ha Kwatazayanyam.
Hakabata Zayanyam.
Ha Kayayanyam.
Hakayayam.
Wa Akwathim.
Wa Agwathim.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai.
The Wadaman.
The Wadaman.
All right, in the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yohanan.
Commanding General Yohanan.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you. So be it.
Thank you. So be it.
All right. Sorry, while you're shubbing, we could be seated. All right. So what we'll be doing is we'll read Lamentations, the first chapter, the first 7 verses in the Hebrew, and then we'll read it in the English, break it on down. Whenever you got it out, go ahead.
Okay. It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 1 in Hebrew. Ayaka, Yasha, Yashabah, Dabad, Badat, Ha'ayar, Rahat, Rabathya, I'm Hayata, Ka'ala, Alabad, Ka'alaba, looks like Kalabana, Rabathya, Bagayam, Sharathya, Bamad, Bamad, Ya, Bamad, Ya, Baman, Yan, Wath, Hayata, Lamar, maybe Lamar. Fact. Maybe
Where you at?
Lamar.
Hold on, you gotta. I can't see on that phone. Salagi, where you at?
It's still verse 1.
Verse 1? Where at?
Right at the end of the last one.
End of the last one?
That'll be Lamas.
No, that'll just be Lamas.
Lamas.
Yeah.
Lamas, verse 2. Bakar. It's like Bakwa. Tabaka. Bala Ya La. Wada. Mata. Al. Lakya. Ayawa. It's like Ayan. La. Mana. Manakam. Makar. Ahabaya. Kar. Raya. Bagadwa. Ba. Hayawa. La. La'an. La'aya. Bayam. Verse 3. Gata. Yahweh. Yahwada. It's like Yahweh. Ma'anya. Wama Bar Rot. Ibada. Haya. Ha'a. Ya. Yeshaba. Bagawayan. La'a. Mataza'a.
Where you at?
Verse 3.
All right, that's good. Okay.
Manawak.
Manawak. Call. Radad. Payat. Payat. Ashaya Gawa. Bayan. Hamad Tazarim. Verse 4. The bar. Sorry. Dar as a the Rakaya.
Diraki.
The Rakia. Tazayawana.
Just Tazai 1.
Tazaya, it's like
Mhm.
Tazaya one. Habad Wath.
Wrong. I borrow your what?
Habad Wath. It's like Habad Wath. Mad Mabaya. Ba Baya. Mawad. Mawa'id. Call. Sha Sha'arya. Shawa. Shawamam Yun. Kaha Kahanya. Na'ad Nakyam. Bata Batawa Batawat Ya. Nawa Gawat. Wahad Wahaya Mar La Rashfad Hala Hayan Tazar Young and Tazar Ya Lara Asha Lara Ash Aya Baya Shalan. Looks like Shawa Kaya Yahweh Yawa Waga Al Rob Pashad Pashad Pashaya Iwa Iwa La Iwa La Ya Halakwa Shabya Lapan Ya Tazar 6 Wala Waya Taza'a Man Bath Mabath Tazaya 1 Call Hada Hadara Haya it's like Hayawa Sharya Ka'a Ka'ayawa Ka'a Ya Yala'am Ka'a Ya Layam La'a Mataza'awa Marai A Waya Lakwa Ba Bala Ka it's like Ka Lapanya Wad it's like Berwa, Berwa, Dot, verse 7. Zakah, Zakara, Gerard, Wad, Gerard, Washan, Yamya, Anha, Wamar, Wadaha, Wadaya, Call, Makan, Makad, Madya, Ashar, Hala, it's like Hayan, Hawa, Hayawa, Manyamwa, Manya, Kwadak, Kwadam, Banapal, Aima, Banyad, Tazar, Wa'ayawan, Iwazar, La, Wa'awa, Tazaryum, Jaquan, Chaqua, Al, the Isle, Mashad, Mashad Ta,
Mashabata.
Mashabata.
All right. That's verse 1 through 7, right?
Council.
All right. So that was Lamentations chapter 1, verses 1 through 7 in the Hebrew. All right. So now we're going to read it in the English. All right. Break it down. You got that for me?
In English?
Yeah, you got it for me?
Council.
Before we get started, right? You can't answer this question because I know you don't. But who wrote the book of Lamentations? Either one of y'all could answer. Who wrote the book of Lamentations? If y'all don't know, it's fine. But if you can tell me.
I think it was Solomon.
Nah. This is way after Abraham's time, right? So the book of Lamentations is directly after the Babylonian captivity. So if you go into that, right? If you go into like the Babylonian captivity, it's one of the prophets that are already they already have a book in the Bible, right? But this prophet, this specific prophet that we're talking about, witnessed the fall of Jerusalem because of the Babylonians. I'll just give it to y'all. It's it's Jeremiah. Yeah, so the prophet Jeremiah wrote the book of Lamentations, and he's lamenting over his people being destroyed. Because this is after the Babylonians, utterly destroyed Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a wasteland. Right. You get what I'm saying? And we had and it had to be built back up. And this brother Jeremiah had what's called compassion, right? I mentioned that at the beginning of the service. This brother Jeremiah had compassion on what was happening to his people, right? If you know anything about this time period, the people were getting taken away and being, of course, sold into servitude and sold into slavery, right? Their children were being ripped from them. The same thing that's happening here today, except times 10. It was so much more terrible because we had our own land, right? We had our own land, and it was ripped from us because of our sin. And so that's why Jeremiah is lamenting. He's mourning because of that, right? So let's read it, right? Give me verse 1.
Come on, the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 1 in English. How doth the city sit solitarily? That was full of people. So now he's saying, how does this city sit solitary that was once full of people? Remember, he's looking at Jerusalem empty, and it's like a goddamn wasteland. It's like a wasteland. It's empty. There's no people, right? How does it sit
solitary with no people and no buildings and nothing because it's all been destroyed, that was once full of people. It was once full of Israelites in their own land, right? Keep going.
Okay. How is she become as a widow?
As a what?
As a widow.
As a widow, as like a woman that's lost her husband, right? How is this city, this once great city, become like a widow? Keep going.
Okay. That she was great among the nations and princess among the provinces. How is she become tributary?
So now, once again, Jerusalem was great among all the nations. Was great. And if you go back and you read about this history, like the history, remember, the history is what, I don't want to say it's what solidifies the Bible. The Bible solidifies the Bible. The words that are in the Bible solidify the Bible. But if you want to know more about what's going on in the scriptures, you have to go into history and see what was going on around these times. Israel was a great nation with kings and priests. And then what happened? We decided that we was going to sin against the Most High. And so the Lord allowed the Babylonians to take us. The Lord allowed the Assyrians to take us. The Persians and the Medes. You know how many? No, I'm too hard. You know how many people? You know how many kingdoms we've been under because of our sin? But at one time, we was a great nation, right? Keep going.
Verse 2. She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks.
So who is this talking about? This is talking about Israel. It's talking about the land of Jerusalem, right? That's what this is talking about. But what Jeremiah is so good at is he's putting personification on the land of Israel. It's going to be on the land of Jerusalem, land of Israel, same thing, right? She weepeth sore in the night, meaning this city is crying. Why? Because this city is mourning, lamenting. This whole book is about this. This city is going through it. This city has been raped and robbed. You get what I'm saying? And so now the people have experienced that. Jeremiah experienced that. And so he understands how this land feels. And so and just to give it a little bit of context, if you go into like the Hebrew, right, the term land is aratazah. Aratazah means land or earth, right? That's a feminine term. So that's why you consistently see the land of Jerusalem being called a princess or she, right? Or her, or she weepeth sore in the night, right? Because that's a feminine, it's a feminine noun. It's a feminine word, right? And so because that's the case, he's personifying this land. And Jerusalem is weeping and tears are on her cheeks. Go ahead.
Among all her lovers, she hath none to comfort her.
Oh, say that again.
Among all her lovers, she hath none to comfort her.
Among all her lovers, she had none to comfort her. Keep going.
All her friends have dealt treacherously with her.
All her friends have done what?
Treacherously.
They have dealt treacherously with her. Go ahead.
They are become her enemies.
So all of the allies of Jerusalem became enemies to Jerusalem. And nobody came to save Jerusalem at the fall, right? When the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem, nobody came to help. Nobody did, right? The allies that we used to have, that we once had, the Lord turned them away from us because it was of the Lord that Jerusalem had to fall, right? If you could, give me Jeremiah 14:2, right? Give me Jeremiah 14:2. A sister asked, right, is this a metaphor? Yes and no, right? So it's a metaphor in the sense that Jeremiah is using terms like Jerusalem is weeping, right, and crying, or that, tears are on her cheeks, right? Or her lovers, right? All of that is a metaphor, but it's a metaphor for what actually happened, which is these nations, these allies that Jerusalem once had, they didn't come around to help. And matter of fact, the Lord turned them against Jerusalem and made them our enemies, right? Give me Jeremiah 14:2.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourneth.
Who?
Judah mourneth.
So now listen, this is Jeremiah. So we're still reading the same words. This is still Jeremiah speaking. And so Jeremiah 14:2 says, Judah mourneth, right? Judah is in mourning, lamenting, right? Crying, sad. Keep going.
And the gates thereof languish.
So when it says the gates thereof languish, the gates of Judah, what are the gates of Judah?
The protection.
The protection, right? You was gonna say her protection, right? Damn right. You know what I'm saying? That's the point. That's the point, right? Her protection, right? Jerusalem's protection is the gates that this is talking about, right? And the gates thereof languish, meaning Jerusalem has no protection. Why does Jerusalem have no protection? Why does Judah have no protection? Anybody can answer.
Because the leaders fail.
Because their leaders fail, right? If you go into another book in Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah. I can't recall. I don't want to misquote it, right? But in another book of Jeremiah, it says, "Woe be unto the pastors that scatter the flock or scatter the sheep." You get what I'm saying? Because the leadership fell. There was no black leaders, and that's so eerily similar to what's happening today. Who's a black leader? Give me one. You can't. Now you can give me a so-called black leader, right? You can give me, Martin Luther King was a so-called black leader. I knew he was going there. I was gonna go there too. Listen, man, so-called Brother Polite, he was considered to be a black leader, and with them big words that he was using. Well, guess what? The black leader that you thought he was a pedophile, right? He out there raping little girls, 14-year-old girls. But you looking at him for guidance. You buying his books. He done wrote 90 books. He done wrote 90 books, and you're gonna buy them all up and think that that's gonna give you some sort of knowledge and get you out of the hood and out of your struggle. But you're gonna have 90 books on that bookshelf in the projects because he's not doing anything to help you. And the reason why is because he doesn't actually give a damn about his people. I don't know if he's a Hamite or not. To be honest, I don't know if he's African or not. Right? But let's just for the sake of argument say that he's a so-called Negro. Say that he's of the tribe of Judah or of the seed of Israel, right? He hates his people. Who he calls his people is the niggas in America, right? He hates his people. Why? Because not only did he scam the hell out of you with all of them books, he scammed the hell out of you with his credit repair business, with his what else he did? The rental properties that he had. He scammed the hell out of everybody. Metal World Peace or Ron Artest put 200, I believe, I don't know if it was 200,000, it was somewhere around there, $200,000 invested in the Polite and got none of that money back. And Ron Artest wanted to kill that nigga, man, because he doesn't give a damn about his people. So now, when you see that, you still look at him like he's a black leader. Well, guess what? Then the Lord's going to show you another extreme. Now he's out here molesting little girls. Why? Because he hates that little girl. That's a little black girl that he molested, and she's the victim in this case. She's the victim in this situation. That's a little black woman that's never going to be the same after that, right? And he doesn't care because he doesn't care about his people, and that's the way the pastors are. Go ahead.
And she has no comfort,
right?
I mean, nobody. I mean, not even the same system that's supposed to give her justice doesn't comfort her. Why? Because they let this man free.
Right.
They don't punish him. They don't reward his wickedness with punishment, right? They don't punish they don't in America. No sinner gets punished, right? They get free as long as you have money. You get what bond? You get to pay your bond to get out, right? But what happens to the victims? What about her? Like, what about the sister? How is she gonna get help? Right. Who's gonna help her? Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. No, that's the crazy thing too, is everybody and Captain Tazariak, right? He touched on this a little bit in his Car Chronicles, right? Everybody's so focused on polite. I don't mean to make this whole class or this whole service about polite, right? But everybody's so focused on polite and focused on the mother, right? But who's talking about the little girl that's literally she can't fully come back from this. This is a scar. Right. You get what I'm saying? This is a scar, one of them scars that never go away. You hold that thing. Nobody's talking about what she has to deal with. Y'all focused on trying to blame, the mother and this, that, and the third. Or it's some cats that, and this is so disgusting, right? That some cats will, because they follow polite so much, they'll say, well, I don't know. It's the whole story sounds weird. It sounds like, the mother and the daughter set them up.
It sounds like a conspiracy.
Sounds like a conspiracy, right? This is what's crazy. This is what's crazy, right? They say, oh yeah, it sounds like a conspiracy, right? I don't think this is real. No, what should sound fishy to you is that little girl had 6 semen stains and they all came from that nigga. You get what I'm saying? That should be kind of fishy to you. That should be like, okay, maybe that's kind of fishy. Right, but no, what's fishy to you because you worship this nigga as a god, right? Is that it couldn't be him, not my polite. What does that sound like? Not my Jesus. It's the same thing because y'all worship. And so going back to the topic, our gates language, meaning we do not have any protection. And so, especially in America, you can see this today. It's the same. There's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that was happening back in the Babylonian captivity is happening here today. We don't have protection. Our young daughters ain't got no protection, man. Our young daughters have no protection. Why? Because he can do that. He did that back in February. It just came out, a week ago. We're in August. So she's been living with that pain for 6 months. And then when he gets charged with it, right, he goes to jail early morning on Monday, gets out late night Monday. So he spends, all the 16 hours in jail, right? Goes to see a judge, and then pays $1,000 in bond. So you telling me that little girl's womanhood is only worth $1,000? But because that's what they're saying. You get what I'm saying? Why is that? Because our people do not have any protection. Like Lamentations 4:17, right? If we the same book, Lamentations 4:17, we have looked after a nation that could not help us. We've looked for a vain help, right? We're trying to seek help from this nation. You think a goddamn judge, a white judge, is going to care about a black woman getting raped? You think that's going to happen? No, it's not, because they don't care for us. They would, and the reason why he was able to receive $1,000 bill, which is ridiculous, because that's such a terrible crime. And the scriptures that say you get put to death for it. Right. Deuteronomy 22nd chapter says that you get put to death if you force yourself on a woman. Right. So once again, we're not looking to the Most High's laws, because the Most High's laws are those gates that we don't have, the protection that we don't have. Right. We're looking for America to fix our mistakes, and for America to punish our our rapists and our murderers. You get what I'm saying? And they're not punishing them. He's gonna say something?
I mean, I was just gonna say, it's crazy how there's so many people, there's even blacks that are judges in America, right? Like sit in the seats of judgment and judge, right? And could give, righteous judgment, right? But at the end of at the same time, what happened to that Amber Geiger, right? What happened to her? She got more compassion than the brother who died. Right. Than the brother who was murdered by this devil. Right. Right. She got more compassion. Not only that, but everybody around her. All everybody that was, the security, the judge, and the family. Right. The brother's brother, yeah. The brother tried to hug her. Mm-hmm. The security was combing her hair. Right. And then the judge even gave her own personal Bible to her, and was felt bad that she had to do that. Right. Right. How you gonna feel bad for a murder that came into this brother's home, his own home, basically broke in and then murdered him in his own living room. Right. Like, how you gonna have compassion for that? Right. But yet, like you said, right, like you brought up Lamentations 4, right? Our vain help. We look up to these people and we think they are nothing but gods, and they can save us, but really they can't do nothing but murder us, right? Oppress us, right? They can't comfort us. Right. They comfort their own. Right. They take care of their own. But as for us, we need to come together and comfort our own. Right. We need to pay attention about what's going on around us and make sure that we are taken care of instead of trying to worry about everybody else. Right. Right.
No, damn right. And that's what the UPK has been about. Before this whole, everybody's in an uproar about Polite. Everybody's in an uproar about this specific situation. But when Africa Bambaataa, got convicted for raping all of them children, nobody was speaking out but us. You know what I'm saying? Malachi Z. York, who was, Brother Polite's spiritual father, he went to prison for molesting kids. So, the child molestation and the rape is something that's so big in the Black community that a lot of people look at it as taboo, like we shouldn't be talking about it. But we have to talk about it, right? You got to be able to talk about the sensitive things. You got to be able to do that. Otherwise, those things are going to keep happening. And that's what's wrong with the black community, is that we continually brush things under the rug. If anybody doesn't understand the metaphor of sweeping things under the rug, imagine you cleaning your house, right? You cleaning your house, and you're trying to get all of the dust and the dirt off of your floor. So you sweeping up, right? Now imagine, instead of you actually sweeping that up and putting it into the trash can, you just sweep it under the rug, meaning the dirt is still there. You just can't see it. So the dirt and the dust and all of those nasty things, they're still there. You just cannot see it. So what people are doing is all of this child molestation that's going on in the black community, all of the rape, all of these things that are going on in the black community, they're not doing anything about it. They're just hiding it, and they don't talk about it. And so what happens? It keeps happening because it's still there. All of that disgustingness and that filth is still there. What we are trying to do in the UPK is let's not sweep it under the rug. Matter of fact, roll the rug up. Let's get everything from under that rug, sweep it up, put it in the garbage, meaning get rid of it. Do something about it. You get what I'm saying? And that's what we have to do. And that's why the scriptures say that we lack protection, because nobody else is willing to do that. But what we're trying to do is exactly what those gates are. Give our people protection. And the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Bible are protection. So we cannot look at the law of America and say, no, that's our protection, right? That's our vain help. That's a nation that cannot save us. We need to look at this book and say, this is what we need to do to solve these problems, right? Let's see, where we at? Keep going.
14?
Yeah, middle of 14. You can start from the top.
Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourneth, the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground.
They are black unto the ground. Once again, it's such a hellish thing to be black. And you find it all throughout the Bible. Even Solomon, right? Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. He says, I am black, but comely. He has to tell you, yeah, I'm black, but I'm beautiful. I'm black, but I'm handsome. Because being black is something that's so terrible to be. Right. It's a hard thing to be black, right? But keep going.
Okay. In the city of Jerusalem,
it's like again.
And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Once again, you can take me back to Lamentations 1. The personification of Jerusalem. Let's just ask, is Jerusalem is Israel? Yes, right? Jerusalem is the land of Israel, right? It's specifically a city in the land of Israel. But when you read about Jerusalem, especially in these metaphors, it's talking about the land of Israel that was captured by these other nations, right? So now, right, let's go back into Lamentations, the first chapter. Let's read verse 3, and we'll get another scripture from Jeremiah. Right, go ahead.
Okay. Lamentations chapter 1, verse 3. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude.
Right. So listen, at this point, we went into captivity under the Babylonians because of the fact, by way of affliction. Meaning, what is affliction? Affliction is pain, right? They've abused us, and because of great servitude, meaning by way of great servitude, we gone into their captivity, right? Under the servitude, right? So meaning this, right? The same thing that happened here in America. The same way that we came into captivity in America is the same way that we went to the Babylonian captivity. It's always the same. Give me 1 second. She said, Okay, so sister asked, right, is Jerusalem the metaphor for the people? Okay, so yes and no, right? So Jerusalem is, okay, I would just say yes, right? So when it talks about Jerusalem and the cry of Jerusalem has gone up, it is talking about the people, right? Specifically, it's talking about the land, but what is the land without the people that inhabit that land, right? So yes, you could say anytime that you see what we're talking about here, talking about Judah and talking about Jerusalem, it's talking about the people. Right. So it says Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. Go ahead.
Okay. She dwelleth among the heathen.
Among who?
The heathen.
Go ahead.
She findeth no rest.
So meaning we get taken into captivity, and we're not just around our brothers. Remember, the way that Jerusalem was set up, it was just us. And there was a law for a stranger, meaning if there was another person, another nation of people that came into our land, they got treated different. Right. That's that segregation. We were segregated. But then what ended up happening is we fell into the lust of our own self, and we decided that we was going to sin against the Most High. So the Lord sent the Babylonians, and this happened many times, right? It happened with the Assyrians too. But he sent them, and they came and took us captive. and destroyed our land and destroyed our holy temple, right? Keep going.
All her persecutors overtook her between the straits.
Give me Jeremiah 17:4, right? This is talking about the captivity that we went into, right? This captivity that we went into caused us to be servants, caused us to be afflicted, and caused us to be among the heathen, scattered among the heathen, right? And we couldn't find any rest. No rest from our labors, right? Think about this. Like, remember, today is the Sabbath day. Today is the day of rest. You know why this room isn't filled? Because so many brothers and sisters cannot rest on this day because we are in the land of our captivity.
Right.
Because you get what I'm saying? Because your boss is telling you if you don't come in on Saturday, you're getting fired. You get what I'm saying? That's the type of people that's the type of captivity that we're under today. We can't find rest even on the day of rest, the one day that the Lord said that you should have rest. That's the problem with our people. Go ahead.
If I could, even yesterday they called me and it's like, hey, can you come to work tomorrow? I was like, I stood quiet, just to see what he said. I just stood quiet. And he's like, I'm just asking, you don't have to come. I was like, all right, then no, I'm not coming.
Yeah. Right.
He was like, all right.
Right.
All right. No, I'm not gonna go.
Right.
I was like, all right, then take care.
Yeah. Take it easy, man.
Yeah.
And that's the point. You get what I'm saying? If you can get the day off, then you're blessed, right? If you can get the day off, that's a blessing. Because this is this is a commandment to observe this day. But a lot of people, they can't get a lot of people can't afford to miss the day of work that they're required to come into or lose their job. Imagine this. Imagine you lose your we're never going to do. Once again, this is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We are a practical people, meaning we're not going to tell you, nah, man, listen, I don't give a damn if they tell you that they're gonna fire you from that job. We're not going to tell you that. If go your ass to work, go to work. You have to, right? Otherwise, what's going to happen? You're going to spend an entire week looking for a new job before you can get hired. That's 1 week missing the pay. And then they're not going to pay you for the next 2 or 3 weeks. You're not going to get your first paycheck for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So then what's going to happen? You're going to be late on your rent. You're going to get kicked out and you're going to be homeless because I told you to go, because I told you, no, don't go to work. We're practical in here, right? We understand the type of bondage and captivity that our people are under. We're never going to force you to do any goddamn thing, right? But that's the point, right? We can't find any rest here, right? Give me Jeremiah 17:4.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
So now, once again, this is still Jeremiah. What's cool about the Bible is each prophet had their own specific set of prophecies that they prophesied to the children of Israel. A lot of what Isaiah did was prophesying end times. A lot of what Jeremiah was prophesying was things that we can relate to right now that we're going through now, right? And so Jeremiah, the Lord, through the mouth of Jeremiah, said, you, talking to the children of Israel, even yourself, you'll discontinue from the heritage that you gave, that the Most High gave us, right? So what is that heritage that the Most High gave us? Anybody can
answer. Our language, our culture, the law.
Right. That's our heritage. And it's also our inheritance, right? Heritage is also another word for inheritance, right? What's supposed to be our inheritance? We should be on high above all the other nations. Read Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, verses 1 through 15 show you that if we kept the law, we would be on high above all the other nations. That's our heritage. That's our inheritance. That's what we're supposed to have. But the Lord said that we are going to discontinue from the heritage that he gave us, from the inheritance that he gave us, because we decided it's not a big deal to serve the Most High. Right? Keep going.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
To serve who?
Thine enemies. In the land which thou knowest not.
Now this, once again, it's happened so many times that you could just call this manifold, right? Because this happened in the Assyrian captivity. It happened when we were under the Persians and the Medes. It happened when we were under the Babylonian captivity. It's happening now. We've been caused to serve our enemies, not our friends, not somebody, these aren't people that were our friends at one time. They've always been our enemy. They've always hated us. Psalms the 83rd chapter goes into all of our different enemies. The prayers that we pray every Sabbath service, twice a Sabbath service. Psalms 83rd chapter talks about the fact that, the Edomites and the Moabites and the Ishmaelites and the Amalek, All of them cats are our enemies. And that's been the same since the beginning, right? The Lord told us that we shouldn't be involved with them other nations and that we should stick to ourselves, stick to our own family, right? We've been caused to serve our enemies. Go ahead.
Okay. For ye have kindled.
We've been caused to serve our enemies. Go ahead.
In the land which thou knowest not.
In the land of what?
Which thou knowest not.
We don't understand. Listen, this land right here is not our land. We never knew America. America was never supposed. Even the Northern Kingdom that was here far before the Southern Kingdom was. This still wasn't the Mexicans' land. This wasn't the Mexicans' land. This wasn't the Native Americans' land. This was just a land somewhere. This is the land of the North. You get what I'm saying? Right. The Mexicans' land, the Native Americans' land, and the black man's land is Israel. That's our land. That's the land that we know. That's the land that we're supposed to know. But the land that we know not is America. The land that we know not is Babylon. The land that we know not is Assyria. Those are the captivities that we went into, right? Keep going.
Okay. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Listen, and that's why we've had to go through this. Give me Jeremiah the 50th chapter now. The reason why we've been scattered into these nations and gone to be servants, right? Remember, we're supposed to be kings on the face of this earth. The scriptures say that I will make of you a nation of kings and priests. Right. That's what the scriptures say. Right. But look at us now. We servants. Like Solomon said in the book of in the book of Ecclesiastes, I've seen servants. Yeah. Right. I've seen servants upon horses and kings and princes in the field. You know what I'm saying? For you just to paraphrase, right? Right. Point being is everything is flipped backwards now because we're supposed to be on top. But the problem is because we don't care about serving our Father. Look, cool. He's angry with us. So he's going to flip that backwards. Now, our enemies are going to be the ones that we serve instead of our enemies serving us, right? Which is how it's supposed to be. Give me Jeremiah 50 and 17.
Okay. Look at Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 17. Israel is scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away.
The who?
The lions have driven him away.
So now we just saw, right? We just read Israel is a scattered sheep. Remember, going back to the book of Lamentation, we're going to dwell among the heathen, meaning we're going to be scattered among all of the heathen. And so now, fast forward and look at what's happening, right? We are a scattered sheep. We are scattered right now. The lions have driven them away, meaning the other nations, the beasts of the field, have driven us away, right? Keep going.
First, the king of Assyria.
So first, the king of Assyria have done what?
Have devoured him.
Have what?
Devoured
so
him.
Now first the king of Assyria in the Assyrian captivity devoured us, ate us up, right? Put us into a harsh servitude and had us to build up their kingdom, right? Keep going.
And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, have broken his bones.
Have done what?
Broken his bones.
So now first the kingdom of Assyria had took us into captivity and absolutely destroyed us. And then after that, we got the Babylonian captivity where Nebuchadnezzar broke our bones, meaning absolutely broke us, put us in such a harsh servitude that it was almost like we couldn't deal with it, like we couldn't handle it, right? That's what we've gone through. Why? Because if you go back into Jeremiah 17 and 4, it says, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. What we need to do, you can take me back to Lamentations, right? What we need to do is put that fire out. That's what we need to do, right? The problem is that instead of us focusing on how to better ourselves, we would rather focus on what feels better. That's what our people do. Our people have a real big problem with what feels good. Why do you like every crackhead that you've ever seen grew up seeing somebody else on crack and grew up seeing the type of detrimental effects that it had on them. Grew up seeing they scratching, they got them damn bumps all over the place, right? Teeth rotting out of their mouth. They grew up seeing that. So what makes them grow up and say, yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing they did? Because getting high feels amazing. Getting high feels great. The problem is you're so focused on what feels good. In the long term, you don't even realize, or you forget to realize that this thing is going to kill you. Like getting high, like smoking. Go ahead.
And what you just described was perfect. That was just Christianity all the way.
That's that damn right.
Because you believe that this is helping you.
Right.
You believe that, actually, what you just said, right? It makes you feel good, right? You believe being a Christian makes you feel good, right? Even calling yourself, I'm a Christian, instead of saying I'm a Israelite from the tribe. It's like I'm a Israelite from the tribe of Issachar, right? Instead of saying that, you say I'm a Christian, right? But the real Christians were the KKK,
right?
The white supremacists,
Southern Baptists.
The Southern Baptists.
They were Southern
They
Baptists.
were the real Christians,
right?
And guess what they were doing? They were burning up our houses. They were lynching us, and they were dragging us outside. If we didn't die inside the house, we would run out, and if we ran out, they would shoot us. Right? They would whip they did so many horrible things to us that they were Christians, and that's who you claim to be, Christian, right? And because you feel good about you not serving the Most High or not changing, right? That's the issue. It's not changing, not doing the work that it takes to serve the Most High, right? Everybody wants to say, oh, the laws are done away with, which is a Christian, a Christian thing or a worldly thing to say, right? But in reality, the laws aren't done away with. Christ never died for the law. Never died for you not to keep the law, right? He died for you to change your life and stop being so selfish and actually serve the Most High. Come back to your own ways. So come back to the Most High, right? Instead of being led astray by all these Christians, why don't you come into these schools and learn something, right? Why don't you learn something, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's something that we should always remember. There's always, General Muhammad just did a class on how the conscious community was birthed, and it's birthed off of a bunch of failed organizations. It started with Marcus Garvey. That organization fell, and then you had the Nation of Islam with Fard Muhammad, and then that fell, and then Elijah Muhammad came and rebirthed the Nation of Islam, right? And so now everybody was following Islam. And then came what's his name? Elijah. What's his name? Not Elijah. Farrakhan. And then Farrakhan come in and he's like the savior. He's like the black savior. And then what does he do? He falls into Scientology. So now that whole thing is getting, you know what I'm saying? So point being is all of these things, it's very easy to figure out and understand what the truth is. And I'll say this. The ISUPK has been around since 1969 and has never fallen apart. When I say never fallen apart, I mean even when there were splits, Commanding General Yohana stayed and held that banner. Right. You know what I'm saying? And he kept the truth since 1969. And so the point that I'm bringing out is it's very easy to find the truth because you can go into the Christian church and you can see, once again, look at what's happening, right? Just like it was an excellent metaphor that you made between the crackhead and the Christian church. The crackhead grows up seeing crackheads, knowing that crack is bad, because of the teeth falling out and because of them acting all goddamn crazy. And, some of them cats do a lot of crazy things just to get a little bit of crack, right? But then you grow up and you try it and it feels good. And now you're just like them. But you already knew what was going to happen. Well, that's the same thing with the Christian church. You grow up, you see the pastor, all of these scandals that the pastors is getting into. The pastors having sex with everybody in there, having sex with your mother and your daddy want to kill him, right? All of these things happen in the Christian church. The deacon is stealing money from the pot. Right. All of those things happen. And so that's just the Christian church. You go into these fake Israelite groups. I'll name them. HOI got cats in there at 60 years old courting a 16-year-old. That's the same. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pedophilia to me. And according to the script, that's not even just the age gap. But that little girl is not ready to have a husband. You should no grown man at all should ever be courting no 16-year-old. But that happens in there. GMS, they say that you can rape women and girls. 12 years old, she come on a flower, that you can rape her. That's what they say. So who the hell in their right mind would join that organization? You go to IUIC and you look at Nasty Nate sending pictures of his rod to everybody in the congregation. He got pictures of all the deacons and everybody got to know what his rod looked like. Homosexuals in that group, 2 homosexuals on the phone masturbating together. Joy Morgan getting killed. Joy Morgan getting murdered by a damn African. So then, but what would cause you to say, I know it's a lot of crazy things go on in there, but that purple looks so good. I gotta go and I gotta get in that purple. I gotta go and I gotta get in that purple. Oh, look how they march down in Memphis and Chicago. Oh, they're all one body. They so unified. But in there, they all hate each other.
Right.
The truth, it can only be one thing. And the evidence is proof. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how the hell we got on that topic, but you know, but I think that's good for every class to come out, right? Let's get back to Lamentations, the first chapter. Give me the 4th verse.
Okay. Lamentations chapter 1, verse 4. The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate.
So all the gates are desolate, right? Meaning there is no protection. There is no, no help. Keep going.
Her priests sigh.
Her priests sigh. Meaning the priest is done. They're done with their work. They're not working anymore, right? They're so tired of this. They're done, right? Keep going.
Her virgins are afflicted. And she is in bitterness.
Now keep going. That's the kicker. Verse 5.
Verse 5. Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper.
So her adversaries are the chief, meaning her adversaries come out on top. All of Zion, which of course is talking about Israel, all of Israel's enemies come out on top, right? And her enemies prosper. Keep going.
For the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions.
So why did the Lord do this to us? Because of the multitude of our transgressions. The multitude means the many, meaning it's not just one transgression. It's not just a couple niggas out here killing each other. You know, it's a whole nation of angry black men and women killing each other, aborting babies, all of these things, right? Keep going.
Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy.
Before who?
The enemy.
Give me Deuteronomy 28. Now, everything that we've read, right? I'll put it to you like this. Everything that we've read, you can go into Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and see that these are all curses from not keeping the law of the Most High.
Right.
Everything, right? The fact that we have no protection, that's a curse in Deuteronomy 28. And we're about to read another one, right? In Deuteronomy 28, give me verse 32. Because it just said her children are gone into captivity before the enemy. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. And thine eyes shall look.
So now our sons and our daughters are going to be given into captivity unto another people. And you're going to look for them. Keep going.
And fail.
And what?
And fail.
Keep going.
With longing for them all the day long.
So your eyes are going to look for them, but they're going to fail. Your eyes are going to fail because you're not going to be able to see them because they're going to be gone. Right? And you're going to long for them all the day long. You're going to want your son. You're going to want your daughter. Keep going.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
There shall be what?
No might in thine hand.
There's nothing at all that you can do about it. Absolutely nothing that you could do about it. Now, you could take this a lot of different directions. Take me back, if you could, to Lamentations, right? You could take this a lot of different directions, right? Now, in the times of slavery, right? When I say the times of slavery, of course, we still slaves in America today, but I'm talking about, slavery on the plantation, right? In the times of slavery on the plantation, a man and a woman, a black man and a black woman would have a baby. And that baby would get raised up to about 4 or 5 years old and then get sold off and be separated from his mother and his father, right? That happened. Now look at today, 400 years later, 300 years later. Look at the so-called Hispanics, right? Tribe of Issachar on the border, at the border of Arizona, the border of Texas, the border of New Mexico, right? Those children are being taken from their father and their mother, right, and being separated in them cages. There's a picture that I'm never going to forget where there's a brother in the cage, right? There's a brother in the cage with his son, or I think it was son or daughter, whatever, with his baby, right? And the wife had to come up through the cage, them little chain link fences, through the cage and stick her breast through that chain link cage to breastfeed that baby.
Right.
Like that's still happening today. So couldn't nobody ever tell me that Mexicans ain't niggas too, right? Go ahead, you gonna say something?
It's gonna continue happening too, especially with the child services. They come in and they see how if you don't have a job. I remember seeing a sister that, there was a post, right? A sister went to go do some job interviews, right? And she had to take her kids with her, but she had left them in the car because she had to do an interview, right? Ended up, and imagine you trying to get a job, right? You're trying to get a job so you can support your family, right? So you can, make sure your kids are good, right? But even in the midst of you trying to get a job, there's going to be some obstacles where the oppressor is going to put in place for you to not get what you need. Right. For you not to get what you need and not help out your family.
Right.
So now the sister now the sister got the kids taken away because I forget what it's called, but she abandoned the kids in
child neglect.
Child neglect is what they see it as, right? For leaving the child inside the car with no supervision, right? Not having the mother around. And when the mother was just really trying to feed her children.
Right. She was doing what she had to do.
She was doing what she had to do.
Right.
I mean, imagine you don't have a job and then you still have to pay for a babysitter who don't want to babysit.
Right.
Right. When you don't have no money. Right. And not only that, but you trying to get a job and you trying to, pay for gas. You have so much on top of you, and what you trying to do is you trying to be a good mother. But yet this devil won't let you do that.
Right.
This devil will rather you kill your child.
Right.
Rather you abort your child. Right.
Right. Because they're gonna take that same little baby. Well, it wasn't a baby, but they're gonna take that same young child and put them in a foster home. And somebody that wants a couple of $100 extra a month is gonna take that baby and molest that child and neglect them, neglect them some more.
That child is going to go through so much trauma to the point where that child is going to be part of a system where she just going to create that same, basically give that what they gave to her. Right. The child, I've seen a video too of a sister who was in a foster home at 4 years old. I believe she still remembers her foster father basically raping her. And then because he would come to the house drunk and have fights with the mother, she ended up running at 12 years old. She ended up running away from her home and just living off the streets. And now she was, she had a pimp, right? A whoremonger, basically carry her around. Now as she was telling her story, she was in what do they call it? When you're homeless and you're trying to get, have a place to sleep. I forget what they call them. Anyways,
you're talking about
a shelter home, right? She's in a shelter home. She's basically in hiding. She's basically in hiding from every danger, and she hasn't gone to school, and then she's gone through so much. And as she's talking, she's not like she just, you could hear it in her voice, you could hear it, you could see it in her eyes. She's just gone through so much, and that's what this devil will do to our children, right? And it's going to keep on going and going and going if we don't separate ourselves from this oppressor, right? If we continue to look for their help, then and try to and get that gift that destroys the heart, then we will continually be get destroyed and get basically beaten to powder. Right now, I mean, Commander Hunt is raising up brothers in every zone, in every city, country, and brothers are coming up. I just seen, Mexico might even have a school, coming up. So man, I'm all for that, right? But like I said, man, it's all a process, right? But the first thing you need to do is come into these classes, man. Come into these classes, make sure you doing good, right? Make sure you doing the right thing, right? And do your part. Put your brick in, right? As the scripture says, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, Salaki too. And all of that is because, because the Gates language. All of that is because our people have no protection. Now, that sister that did that, she would get a pass, right? That left a child in the car like that. But the thing is, in the school, you don't have to do that. Like in here, you don't have to do that. We're watching little badass kids. You got a job interview, we'll watch them little badass kids as long as you need us to. And we're not going to charge you no money. That's what we do. We got sisters in here that'll do it. If the sisters can't do it, the brothers will. We'll watch your children for you, right? Why? Because that's the protection and that's what we need. Like, we have to be a unit. Remember, the scripture said that there can be no schism in the body, right? We have to function as one unit. We have to be one body. There's only one body. And so because that's the case, we can't let nobody, imagine that happening in the school. It wouldn't, because the sister would have been able to call somebody and say, you know, it's like, you know, I got this job interview. I can't pay for a babysitter. No sweat, sis. You know what I'm saying? I'll come by, you know what I'm saying, watch, or, you know, whatever the case is, you bring up whatever the case is, right? But we're going to figure something out. And if we can't do it, then we'll pay for the babysitter, right? That's what them tithes, like people, you know, hear the word tithes and they think like, you know, oh, they immediately think the Christian church. Because what do the tithes do in the Christian church? They buy your pastor a Rolls Royce. If you Creflo Dollar, them tithes buy you a multi-million-dollar jet, right? And here the tithes don't go. They go to General Commander General Yohana, but they don't go to Commanding General Yohana for him to. If you see the car he drives, he doesn't drive a Rolls Royce or a Bentley. He's just the average nigga, just like me and you, because those tithes go to helping his people. He gets enough, and I've heard General Muhammad say this. He gets enough tithes to be a rich man 10 times over, but he lives like a poor man so he can be a river to his people. Right. Because he's going to pay your rent when you can't pay it. He's going to bail you out of jail. Some of y'all knuckleheads, y'all get, you know, jammed up, right? He's going to bail you out of jail, right? He's going to make sure that you, if you are not able to provide for yourself, he's going to provide for you. And that's what the tithes are truly for. The tithes were never meant to make a priest rich. The tithes were never meant to make a priest rich. The tithes were for the people. Right. And so, but of course, that's the protection that we've always needed. Right. And you don't get that anywhere else. You got it.
You know, one of the most like powerful, you know, lines I ever heard from Commander Yohana was, I'm not letting nobody sell you crack. You know, I'm not letting nobody sell crack to you, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And he said, because you're a black man just like me, and it's worth something. Right. And that's true. Like, the thing is that we don't see value in each other no more. Why? Because we're too focused on everybody else. You know, we're focused on letting Dylan Ruth come into this room and, you know, trying to hug him after he, you know, shoots your brother. You know, but we're not focused on each other. We're so focused on on our oppressor to love him and to, you know, make him feel good. And not only that, but sometimes even, you know, prove to him that we deserve to be with you. What did why was Martin Luther King trying to do the whole time with the whole integrating with them, right? But what we need to do is we need to focus on ourselves. We need to focus on separating ourselves and loving each other, because, like you said, the gates are now languished, right? Our gates are destroyed. Who do we have for protection but ourselves? Right? So we need to separate ourselves. Like that's the main thing too, that people don't see. So like the brothers in the world don't see how it can benefit us if we do separate ourselves from this devil, from our oppressor. Right?
No, damn right. All right, so give me Lamentations 1:6.
God, Lamentations chapter 1 verse 6. And from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed.
All her what?
Beauty is departed.
So even from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed. We're gonna get a precept for that. Keep going.
Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture, and they are gone without strength before the pursuer.
Keep going for time's sake, because I want to get the next 7. So keep going.
Verse 7. Jerusalem remembered in the days of her affliction and of her miseries, all her pleasant things that she had in the days of old, when her people fell into the hand of the enemy, and none did help her.
Nobody came to our help, right? The scriptures say, remember, if you go back into Deuteronomy 28:68, it says that we would go into captivity by way of ship, and no man shall save you. Nobody's going to come and save us. No man is going to come and save us. It's just going to have to be Christ and his angels. That's it. Because no man can save us. How many men have tried? Right? Martin Luther King tried. I don't know if he was trying for real. It seemed like he was kind of just pushing his own agenda, right? Yeah. Malcolm X tried, right? A. Philip Randolph tried.
Black Panthers.
Right. Black Panthers tried. You know, all of these people, these so-called leaders, have attempted to save us, and it never worked. Marcus Garvey tried. What happened to him? He got deported. That brother was a Benjamite from the island of Jamaica, and they got him, you know, on mail fraud. They got him on mail fraud, and because he was not a U.S. citizen, they deported him back to Jamaica, and his whole movement fell. And so now what? Hey, Haile Selassie, that cat, for one, he was an Ethiopian, but point being is Jamaicans and West Indians was trying to, flee to him and say, like, no, this guy right here, he's the savior. They literally called him the Christ. They called him the deliverer. You get what I'm saying? But of course, what happened with him? He's gone now. And all them West Indians are still over there just getting high all goddamn day and morning, right? All right. And of course, it says, did mock at her. The adversary saw her and did mock at her Sabbath, right? Everybody mocks at us, mocks at what we do, because, what do we have to show for anything? What do black people have to show for anything at all? We don't have accomplishments. What accomplishments we got? LeBron James? That's our. We good at basketball. That's our accomplishment. Right. We got. We got Michael Jordan and his sneakers. We can. Glory in that, right? But can we actually glory in anything that matters? No, not really. You know what I'm saying? Let's get the next 7 verses quickly. I'll read it just for time's sake.
And it's like, we glory on talent.
Right.
That's what we glory on.
Right.
Carnal things.
Right.
But we can't glory in, taking over the world.
Right.
Imagine that. And now that's something to glory about.
But the reason nobody wants to focus on that is because it seems so unattainable. Like that doesn't even make sense to most people. You say taking over the world, they're looking at you like Pinky in the Brain, like a cartoon. You get what I'm saying? Because white people can do it, and they've done it.
Yeah.
So white people, when they hear take over the world, we've done that already.
They take over countries.
Right.
They go over to your country,
right.
And oppress you to the point where, you just have to, basically, they make your knees weak and your hands, basically, they just oppress you, they destroy you to the point where you just have to give it up.
Right. No, damn right. But that thing doesn't seem very attainable to niggas. Niggas, look at that, and you reading too many comic books and watching too many cartoons talking about take over the world.
Right.
The problem is, good.
They'll be like, with what army? Like,
with what army?
You in what army?
Yep, exactly.
That one saying.
Right.
Right.
All right. So we'll read Lamentations, the first chapter, verses 8 through 14 in the Hebrew. Starting at verse 8. Kataha, Yerushalayim, Al-Khan, Lan Yada, Hayatha, Kal, Makabadya, Hazayal Wath, Kaya, Ra'awa, Arwatha, Gam, Haya, Na'anaka, Wathashab, Akawar, verse 9. Tama'atha, Bashawalya, La'a, Zakarha, Akaryatha, Watharada, Pala Ayam, Ayan, Manakam, La'a, La, Ra'a, Raha, Yahweh, Ath, Anya, Kaya, Hagadayah, Al-Yabah, verse 10, Yadwa, Parash, Tazar, Al, Kal, Makamadya, Kaya, Ra'atha, Goyam, Bawa, Makwadash Ha, Ashar, Tazawayath, Tazawayath Ha, La'a, Yaba'awa, Bakwa'al, Laka, verse 11, Call, Ima, Na'anakyum, Mabukwasha, Lakam, Nathanwa, that's like Nathanawa, Makam, Maka, Mawadyum, Ba'akal, Lashayab, Napash, Ra'ah, Yahweh, Wahab Yatah, Kaya, Hayatha, Slaki, Hayathia, Zawal La'ah, Slaki, Zawal La, verse 12, Lawa'ah, Al Yakah, Slaki, Al Yakam, Call, Ibarya, Darak, Habayatwa, Wa Salaki, Wara Awa, Yasha, Maka Awaba, Salaki, Kamakabya, Ashar, Iwalo, Laya, Ashar, Hawaga, Yahweh, Bayawam, Car 1, Salaki, Apawa, verse 13, Mamrawa, Mamar, Salaki, Mamarwam, Shalak, Ash, Ba'itazam, Taya, Wayaradan, Ha, Parash, Rashak, that's like a Rashath, Laragalia, Hashayab, Slaki, Hashayabnawa, Slaki, Hashayabnaya, Akawar, Nathanya, Shama, Kal, Hayawam, Dawa, verse 14, Nasha, it's like Nasha Quad, or it's like Nashagda, Al, Pasha Aya, Bayadwa, Yashathargawa, Awa, Al, Tazawa Arya, Hakashayal, Kakya, Nathaniah, Adanya, Bayadya, La'ah, Awakal, Kowan. All right. That was verses 8 through 14. We'll get those quickly into English so we can break it down.
Okay. The Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 8. Jerusalem has grievously sinned.
Of what?
Grievously sinned.
That's the title of this class. That's what everything is about here today. That's what it's about all the time. Right? Your whole life is about Jerusalem grievously sinning. That's really what everything that you deal with on a day-to-day basis is about. Because why are we in the condition that we're in today? You might have a good job. You might have a good college degree. You might be doing A-okay in life. But your life is still being affected by the sin of your forefathers, whether you know it or not. Right? You know, these cats, you know, these rappers, Lil Wayne and, you know, whoever, the Baby and Lil Baby and all of these cats, they living all right. Right? The difference is they're living through sin. They're not living the righteous way. And so no matter how good or how high up on the totem pole that you get, your life is still being affected by the sin of your forefathers and by your current sin. Jerusalem hath grievously sinned. Go ahead.
Therefore, she is removed.
Therefore, what?
She is removed.
So the reason why we were removed from our land was because we sinned. That's the only reason. The Lord could have put up with a lot of things, but with us sinning against him, he couldn't handle it. Why? Because that's the covenant. The covenant that he made with us, the covenant that he made with the children of Israel, is that if we keep his laws, statutes, and commandments and follow him, right, like good children, then we would be set on high and we get to keep our land and have a land that we can have, right? Have a home. Black people don't have a home now. Why? Because we decided that we won't keep the laws of the Most High, right? So therefore, we're removed, right? Keep going.
All that honored her despise her.
So everybody, listen, everybody that honored Israel, remember, Israel was a renowned nation at one time. right? A renowned nation. We had our own military might. We had our own army. We were a mighty nation, and people feared us. The African nations, the Canaanites, and all of them, they feared us. They feared us. But now, what African nation is fearing us today? What white nation, what Edomite nation is fearing us today? Nobody fears us anymore, right? All that used to honor us, they now despise us. And what are we to them now? Just a bunch of thugs, a bunch of niggas, a bunch of spits, savages. That's what we are to them, right? But before, we were kings. I hate to sound like, the blackity black cats, we was kings and this, that, and the third. But we was. We had kings. We were judges in our land, right? Priests, high priests. And then, of course, we lost all our honor because we decided that we was going to step away from the Most High. We thought that we could have that same honor without serving our power, right? Keep going.
Come. Because they have seen her nakedness.
Because they have what?
Seen her nakedness.
Yeah, they have seen our nakedness, meaning we've been exposed. Meaning, at one time, we were an honorable people, so we deserved honor. But now, we've shown that we're a dishonorable people. We've shown that we'd rather get high than serve our God, the God that led us out of Egypt, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We decided that smoking weed is, more important, right? Selling dope and getting money that way is more important than serving God. We've decided that. So the nations have seen that. We've been exposed. They realize that we would rather not serve the God. We're not loyal. We'd rather not serve the God that delivered us out of all of our hardships, right? Keep going.
Yea, she sigheth and turneth backward. Verse 9. Her filthiness is in her skirts. She remembereth not her last end. Therefore, she came down wonderfully. She had no comforter.
So now, of course, this is once again still that same metaphor referring to Jerusalem or the land of Israel or the people of Israel as a her, right? Her filthiness is in her skirts. She were in the secret places. The skirts represent like the secret places, right? Our filthiness is in her skirts, right? She remembereth not her last end. Remember, we had the Assyrian captivity where we already went through this. And then now here come the Babylonian captivity, and we're doing the same thing to get us into that position, right? We don't remember what happened then. Just like here today in America, we're not looking at the times of old and realizing if we keep the law of the Most High, we'll be saved from these types of things. Like, how, like, we're going to be out at camp today, right here on this corner, and telling our brothers and sisters what they need to do to escape the crack that's in the heroin that's in their veins and the crack that's in their lungs and escape the oppression and get up off of that goddamn bus stop with all them white people. We're going to do that today, and they're not going to listen.
It's like they're going to fight us.
They're gonna fight us, right?
They're gonna throw pizza,
right?
Whatever that was,
QT, right?
They're gonna throw a slushie. They're gonna throw a bag of with beer in there,
right? If I could, when they do that, when I get up there and I say, black people are better than white people, and white people don't come up and throw anything at me, and that's true. But the black people will. So you mad at me because I'm telling you that you're better than everybody else. I'm giving you the little bit of self-confidence that you should have had your whole life. But you mad at me for that. That's what makes you mad. I'm not, and the thing is, we don't go up there like the Christian. You guys are all gonna go to hell because you're sinning. UPK don't work like that. We don't go up there and condemn. We can, okay. I don't want to say we don't, right? Because we're gonna tell you. Of course, the scriptures say Isaiah 58:1 say to cry aloud and spare not. Right, so we're going to tell them and show my people, Jacob, their transgression. So we're going to tell them. But what we don't do is like the Christians and say, yeah, you all are going to go to hell. You're going to hell and Jesus hates you and this, that, and the third. We don't deliver our message like that.
So like, what we don't say is, if you have a warrant, we're coming for you.
Right. God damn. That's what we're not going to do. We're going to go to camp with all these black men and say, yeah, man, if you got a warrant, which every black man has a goddamn warrant damn near. And we're gonna turn you in. Who the hell want to come into your organization?
Man, that's what IUIC said.
Yeah.
Hey, man, they said, but you have warrant and you see me I'm coming for you. This and that.
Right.
They said $200 or something.
This is like 2,000, whatever the hell the case is.
Right?
40 shekels.
Man, man, why would you just allow your baby?
And that's it. So that's my point. We don't go out there and say, I can see somebody trying to fight me over that. I can see that. I want to fight a nigga talking about we're gonna turn you in, nigga. You a snitch. I gotta get rid of you. Right. I gotta do something about this cat. He look at me in my eyes talking about a war. He must know, right? Point being though, is that we don't go out there and do that. So I can understand why you would want to fight us over that. But when I'm telling you that and that's every time I go out to camp, I do the same thing, right? My constant focus is to show my people, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that they're above everybody else. They should be, right? But there's a thing that they have to do to claim their position, right? You ever get them text messages be fake? They be like, you have a $1,000 reward. All you have to do is, go to this website and claim it. Those be fake. I have a real one. I'm telling you, all you have to do in order to gain rulership over all of your oppressors is to claim your reward. How do you do that? By keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. All you got to do is just follow this little guideline that the Most High set before you. And it ain't got to be like you got to do it on your own. Come into these come into these classes, and we're going to show you exactly how to do it. It's that simple, right? But of course, they don't want to listen to that. Once again, and that's of course what this is talking about, right? That's exactly what this is talking about. She remembereth not her last end. Nobody wants to pay attention to what's happening. The scriptures say, the scriptures say that the scriptures that were written aforetime were written for our learning. You go into these records and you can see what happened to us because of our actions, right? Because of the actions. And then it tells you exactly what those actions are. Now, if you're a wise man, you'd realize, damn, I'm doing the same thing that these niggas was. And they got put into a captivity just like I'm in today. And then you will realize, well, damn, when they stopped, the affliction stopped. If you're smart, you'd be able to understand that, right? Read the last part of that.
Come on. Oh Lord, behold my affliction, for the enemy has magnified himself.
Right. So Jeremiah is saying, listen, he's praying to the Most High, saying, behold my affliction, right? Look at the pain that I'm going through because my enemy have magnified itself, meaning to make great or to make big. The enemy, which of course in this specific instance is talking about the Babylonians, they have made themselves great, right? And they've destroyed us. Keep reading.
Verse 10. The adversary hath spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things, for she hath seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation.
Right. So now the scriptures say, I ain't gonna put a scripture for time's sake. I know we're running late, right? The scriptures say that none of these other nations, it specifically mentions the Edomites, it specifically mentions the Moabites, the Ammonites, it mentions all of these other nations, and it says that they're not allowed to come into our congregation, right? But our enemy has seen that the heathen did enter into our sanctuary, right? So they saw already that we've been destroyed, right? Keep going.
Verse 11. All her people sigh. They seek bread. They have given their pleasant things for meat to relieve the soul. See, O Lord, and consider, for I become vile.
Once again, this book of Lamentations is about him lamenting. This book isn't supposed to make you feel good, right? That's not the point of the law. The law is not to make you feel good, right? The law is to give you instruction, right? And what he's doing is he's showing the effect of not keeping the law, right? He said, I've become vile. Keep going.
Verse 12. Is it nothing to you, all ye that pass by? Behold, and see if there be any sorrow like unto my sorrow, which is done unto me, wherewith the Lord hath afflicted me in the day of his fierce anger.
Right. So, and of course, this isn't just this brother being. See, Jeremiah was an excellent man. We don't want to get this confused with you being weak, right? Because a lot of times what a lot of people do is when hard times come, they feel sorry for themselves, right? And then it's like why me, God, right? That's not what this brother is doing. I don't want anybody to get that misunderstood. What this brother is doing is he's having compassion on him and his people. He's seeing what the Lord has done, and he's seeing the destruction that his people are going through, and that's why he's lamenting. Because remember, Jeremiah went through plenty of things on his own, and he suffered it. But this is talking specifically about the fact that his people are being destroyed, and that's the compassion that we have to have. That's why we go out there and we risk our lives on them street corners, because we don't teach on them street corners like everybody else teaches, right? We say harsh things. Once again, scoffers come to everybody. Scoffers, will approach a Christian. But the founder of the UPK, Abba Bivens, he was murdered by Muslims for teaching against Islam, because the way that we teach is so much different. And the reason why we're willing to risk our lives like that is because we have compassion for our people, and we know that our people need to hear this, right? And so he did the same thing. Jeremiah did the same thing that we do today, right? And of course, this specific scripture right here, he's talking about how he feels in relation to the destruction, in relation to the evil that's being done to his people, right? He's having compassion, right? So don't get that confused with him, like, lamenting himself. He's lamenting his people, right? Keep going.
Verse 13. From above hath he sent fire into my bones, and it prevaileth against them. He hath spread a net for my feet. He hath turned me back. He hath made me desolate and faint all the day.
Right. And he hath made me desolate and faint all the day. I'll just read it for time's sake, right? Because then we got one more verse after this. But just a precept for that. Once again, Jeremiah, right? Jeremiah 6 and 8. And it says, be thou instructed, O Jerusalem, lest my soul depart from thee, lest I make thee desolate, a land not inhabited. And guess exactly what happened? He made the land desolate and not inhabited. Why? Because the first part of this says, be thou instructed. We did not want any of the Lord's instruction, right? And the scriptures say this too. They would none of my reproof. And that's exactly why we ended up being where we are today, right? That's right. You get what I'm saying? That's exactly why we ended up in this book of Lamentations right now, right? All right, give me verse 14.
Verse 14. The yoke of my transgression is bound by his hand, and they are wreathed and come up upon my neck. He hath made my strength to fall, and the Lord hath delivered me into their hands, from whom I am not able to rise up.
Right. And so we're going to close out, right? Just to expound on that, right? Say he hath made my strength to fall. So meaning it's going to be the Most High took Jeremiah's strength and took the Israelites' strength, right? And the Lord had delivered them into his enemies' hands, right? From whom I am able to rise up. Jeremiah had no might in his own hand, right? I'm going to give you one precept real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 25 says, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. Right? So meaning you go one way into them to go fight them. You think you can fight this nation that's oppressing you. And then you realize that they're a much stronger match than you thought. And you flee from them, meaning they're whipping your ass because you don't have any might to destroy them. They're going to oppress you whether you like it or not. Right? It's that simple. All right. Time's sake. I wanted to get the other 7, but I ain't finna get a call like, all right, you got to let these people go home. All right, with that, just men up here at my which means to stand. Close out.
La Yasharala,
which means to Israel. All right. Now we're gonna get into the prayers. So everybody else at Majum, which means to stand. On Yahweh go down, which means face the east. No, you got it. Yeah, you got it. You're gonna get these prayers.
You're gonna get the Lord's prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Kodash, Hayat, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakota, Taba'a, Matzaka, Hayat, Aisha, Ba'aratza, Kawa, Hayat, Bashemaya, Nathanaw, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalachnaw, Chawathinaw, Kasalachnaw, Chawathinaw, Wala'a, Tabayano, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayano, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wa'atha La'ai Walamyum, Aman.
The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father,
which
art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it.
You get Hakah, which means the power. Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushai. Baba Kasha. Nathanahu. Hakah. La Rapa'ah. Ka. So Makala. Wakal. Madawa. Hakah. Latahar. Hamatazarium. Hakah. Lakwayam. Hamathyum. Hakah. Al. Rakwath. Hatama'ala. Lagarshan. Ba'ashem Yahushai. The Waraman.
All right, we're going to read the power in the English. Yahweh. In the name of
Yahweh.
Please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahweh. Thank you, so be it.
We're going to get Psalms 121. Asha'ah. Ayanya. Al. Maharyam. Ma'ayan. Yaba'ah. Azariah. Ma'ayin. Yahweh. Asha. Shamayam. Wa'aratza. Al Yathan. Lamawat. Ragarka. Al Yawam. Shamarka. Hana. La'ah. Yanawam. Wala'ah. Yeshan. Shawamar. Yashar'Allah. Yahweh. Shamarka. Yahweh. Tazalka. Al-Yad. Yamyaka. Wayamam. Hashamat. La'ah. Yakaka. Wayarak. Balayala. Yahweh. Yashamarka. Makal. Right. Yeshamar. Athna Pashka. Yahweh. Yeshamar. Taza'athka. Waba'athka. Ma'aitha. I will. Wa'id. I will.
All right, Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yashar'Allah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day. Nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. And even forevermore.
Psalms 83. Allahayim. Al. Damaya. Laka. Al. Takarash. Wa'al. Tashakwash. Al. Kaya. Hana. Awayabyaka. Yahama. Yawan. Ra'ash. Al. Amaka. Ya'ira Yamwa. Sawada. Wayatha. Ya'itazaw. Al. Tazapanya. Tazapa. Wanyaka. Amarwa. Lakawa. Wanakakidam. Magaya. Wala'ah. Yazakar. Sham Yashar Allah.
Sham Yashar Allah.
Awada.
Awada.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Nawa Aitazawa.
Now Aitazawa.
Laba.
Laba.
Yakadwa.
Yakabwa.
Al Yakab.
Al Yakab.
Baryat.
Baryat.
Yakab. It's like Yakarathwa.
Yakarathwa.
Ahalya.
Ahalya.
Adawam.
Adawam.
Wa.
Yashamai.
Yashamai. Alayam.
Alayam.
Mawa'aba.
Mawa'aba.
Wahagariam.
Wahagariam.
Gabal.
Gabal.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimalak.
Wa'aimalak.
Palashat.
Palashat.
I'm Yashibya.
I'm Yashibya.
Azawar.
Azawar.
Like Tazawar.
Tazawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Nalawa.
Nalawa.
Imam.
Imam.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Zarwa.
Zarwa.
Labunya.
Labunya.
Lawat.
Lawat.
Salah.
Salah.
Asha.
Aisha.
Laham.
Laham.
Kamadya.
Kamadya.
Kasa. It's like Kasaya.
Kasaya.
Sara'a.
Sara'a.
Kayab. It's like Kayabyan.
Kayabyan.
Banakal.
Banakal.
Kayashwan.
Kayashwan.
Nashamadwa.
Nashamadwa.
Ba'ayan.
Ba'ayan.
Da'ara.
Da'ara.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Daman.
Daman.
La'adaman.
La'adaman.
Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Nada.
Nada.
Yamawa.
Yamawa.
Ka'ira.
Ka'ira.
Wakazaba.
Wakazaba.
Wakazabak.
Wakazabak.
Wakatazal.
Wakatazal.
Mana'ai.
Mana'ai.
Call.
Nasa.
Nasa. Yakamwa.
Yakamwa.
Ashar.
Ashar.
Amarwa.
Amarwa.
Nayarasha.
Nayarasha.
Lanawa.
Lanawa.
Ath. Na'awat.
Na'awat.
Alahayam.
Alahayam.
Alahaya.
Alahaya.
Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Kagargala.
Kagargala.
Kakwash.
Kakwash.
Lapanya.
Lapanya.
Rawak.
Rawak.
Ka'ash.
Ka'ash.
Taba'ira.
Taba'ira.
Ya'ira.
Ya'ira.
Wakalahaba.
Wakalahaba.
Talaha.
Talaha.
Harayam.
Harayam.
Khan. Tharadapma.
Tharadapma.
Basa'iraka.
Basa'iraka.
Wabasa.
Wabasa.
Wapathka.
Wapathka.
Tabahalam.
Tabahalam.
Mala'a.
Mala'a.
Panyaham.
Panyaham.
Kuala
One.
Waya. Bakashwa. Shimka.
Shimka.
Yahawah. Yabashwa.
Yabashwa.
Waya. Bahawa. Adyad. Waya. Kaparwa. Waya. Abadwa. Waya. Da'aiwa. Kaya. Atha. Shimka. Yahawah. Labadka. Al-Yawan. Al. Kal. Ha'aratzah.
All right. We're going to read Psalms 83 in the English now. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
Come,
and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Yasha Allah may be no more in remembrance.
No more remembrance.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. And the Ishmaelites. Of Moab. And the Hagarenes. Gabal. And Ammon. And Amalek. The Philistines. With the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
unto them as unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kasan.
At the brook of Kasan.
Which perished that endured.
Which perished that endured.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a reb.
Make their nobles like a reb.
And like Zael.
And like Zael.
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes as Zabab.
All their princes as Sabbath.
And as Zalmunna.
And as Zalmunna.
Who said,
Let
us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession.
Let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh into possession.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burneth the wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
And as the flame set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame and perish.
Let them be put to shame and perish.
That men may know that thou.
That men may know that thou.
Whose name alone.
Whose name alone.
Is Yahweh.
Is Yahweh.
Art the most high over all the earth.
Art the most high over all the earth.
Blessings. Barakatha Yahweh.
Barakatha Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Allah Hayim.
Wa Allah Hayim.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Ha Allah Wap Yam.
Ha Allah Wap Yam.
Hasaranyum.
Hasaranyum.
Hakwata Zayanyum.
Hakwata Zayanyum.
Hakaya Yanyum.
Hakaya Yanyum.
Wa Hakwatim.
Wa Hakwatim.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
The Wad Aman.
The Wad Aman. All right, in the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yohanan.
Commanding General Yohanan.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it.
All right, Yeshavium, sister, you can be seated. All right, any brothers want their head anointed with oil? All right, go ahead and step up to the front. All right. All right, so now we're just going to say these prayers up here. Once again, you know the drill. When we point to you, you say your name. We'll do that 3 times, all right? Yabaraka Yahweh.
Yabaraka Yahweh.
Waya Shamarka.
Waya Shamarka.
Ya'ar Yahweh.
Ya'ar Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Alyaka.
Alyaka.
Waya Kanka.
Waya Kanka.
Yasha'al Yahweh.
Yasha'al Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Alyaka.
Alyaka.
Waya Shamlaka.
Waya Shamlaka.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shai.
Barak.
Barak.
Rapah.
Rapah.
Magun.
Magun.
Hagun.
Hagun.
Razan.
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 Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
The Wad Aman.
The Wad Aman.
All right. Clap it up. What we just said in the English, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless, heal, shield, protect, resign. All right, you can be seated up. Any sister, you want your head anointed with oil? All right, we're gonna do the same thing. All right. Same thing. Once again, sis, I think you know the drill. You say these prayers, point to you, say name 3 times. All right. Yabaraka Yahweh.
Yabaraka Yahweh.
Waya Shamarka.
Waya Shamarka.
Ya'ar Yahweh.
Ya'ar Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Alyaka.
Alyaka.
Waya Kanka.
Waya Kanka.
Yasha'al Yahweh.
Yasha'al Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Pan Yahweh.
Alyaka.
Alyaka.
Waya Shamlaka.
Waya Shamlaka.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shai.
Barak.
Barak.
Rapah.
Salakia, what was the last one?
Barak.
Barak.
Rapah.
Rapah.
Magun.
Hagun.
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 Kana. Kana. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
The Wad Aman.
The Wad
Clap
Aman.
it up. All right. Once again, what we said in the English is Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless, heal, shield, protect, Kana. All right, you can find that anointing prayer in Numbers, the 6th chapter, verses 22 through 27. All right. So with that, we're going to close out the class. Sis, you can be seated for just now. Men of Israel, mind you, which means to stand. We're going to give each other a courtesy salute before we salute out the Sabbath service. All right, men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat. Amajim Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatham. Side towards the sister. Sister, you can stand. Amajim. All right. Right hand over left, just like this. There you go. All right, brothers. Amajim Shabbat. Amajim Barak.
Yahweh Shamar Latham B'Hashem Yahushua.
You say Yahweh, Shamar, Al, Atha, Bahasham, Yahushua. All right. What that means is Yahweh watch over you in the name of Christ. All right. With that, Yajim Atah class dismissed.